talk about Deshaun Watson. He is going to start throwing this week.
May have started yesterday for all we know.
Yeah. So David Njoku, where is he?
L.A.
They're out in L.A.
So he's out in L.A. David Njoku has joined them out there.
Quincy Avery, his quarterback coach.
Yeah. I guess it's a positive that he's throwing now. I don't know what the timeline was supposed to be. I've heard some people say he's ahead of the timeline, but I don't remember hearing a timeline.
Well, if he's starting to throw this week, it gives him about 5.5 months until stuff starts in August. So he'll be throwing for that long before camp really gets going, right?
That's really 4 months.
Yeah,
the training camp starts in 4 months.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, I did the math wrong in my head.
Now, I could be wrong. April, May, June, July. Yeah, 4
Yeah.
months. Man, it's going to be late July in 4 months. That's depressing.
Your summer ain't even got here.
Yeah.
And you still count it out.
I know.
That's the
yeah,
thing
training camp starts in a little over 4 months.
Yeah.
That's the thing that football does to you. Like it robs you of your summer enjoyment
Because you want to get
because
to
you want to
football.
get to
Yeah,
football
yeah, yeah.
season. So and then you get to football season and then it just goes crazy quick. Like
Yeah.
you're like, can you believe it's week 12?
I know.
But no, like here's the thing, man. Man, I'm not rushing it. Like, bro, listen, if he ain't like, it does me no good to have him throwing right now. Like, if he's throwing great, if he's not throwing okay, like, all right, like, what are you gonna throw April? Like, as long as he's ready for the season, like week 1, I could care less how long rehab takes.
So Anthony sent a question for this topic, and he said, let me just read this. Watson could begin throwing this week, report from Mary Kay. He could be throwing Njoku and Quincy Avery. You know, despite Quincy Avery, you know, he's the negative in this whole situation. Because I don't know. Maybe he needs a new quarterback coach. Should he be working with a different quarterback coach? Do we trust Quincy? Does Quincy Avery work with other people besides him?
Yeah, a ton of other quarterbacks.
Really?
Yeah.
He trust him? He comes off as such a buffoon in these podcasts to me.
Well, see, here's the
Now
thing.
I don't like him because he was really nasty to Didi for no reason, and so I got a beef with the guy. I mean, you know, whatever. Actually, somebody pointed out to me that reminded me that they mentioned on the podcast, which I don't care. But the way he attacked Didi was disgusting, and so he can go F himself. But so that's why I'm taking shots at him. I don't know if he's a good quarterback coach.
He trains a lot of quarterbacks. I know Geno Smith works with him.
Yeah.
There's a bunch more. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but
You know, there's, I talked to McNuggets about that, about this. Like, you know, nowadays, I declared, like I was sitting there and I said, you know what, the regular media is over. And somebody said, what do you mean with the regular media is over? Like, nowadays, like athletes finally realize, all right, well, screw it. I'm going to just do my own podcast.
Right.
And so now.
Well, the regular media is not over just because guys are doing their own podcast.
But.
they don't need us. They don't need regular media in the same way they used to.
Before the regular media was a necessity. It was
Yes.
a necessity that you got along with your beat reporter in your town,
Right.
or you had connections in the media where people would put certain things
It's
out.
still better to have decent relationships with people. No.
I don't think they at this point, they're like, look, I can go in a podcast with Cam Newton or Deshaun
Right.
Watson, and I can say anything I want.
True.
And I could just.
But wouldn't you rather, in a perfect world, get along with the media in your town than not?
Yes, but
Not to the point where you have to do something you don't want to do, but I mean, you don't want to purposely be antagonistic. Do you?
I think they don't trust the media anymore. They don't trust that they're going to be fair brokers.
Well, that's unfair.
I'm just telling you what they're doing.
They all have their own podcast.
They all got their own.
Well, not all. I mean, you
because they control their own narrative. They control their, like. There's a lot of times, right? So,
Right.
say for instance, you get in trouble, bro, or something happens. It gets broke on the local news. It gets put in the paper.
Yeah.
It's in a magazine. You'd be like, well, let me go out and really say what I did. The team's like, no, we ain't doing that. Your PR people, the publicists, the marketing, they're like, no. We'll put out a statement. So what start happening is players start being like, well, damn, I'm getting the narrative in the news, and now my own team won't even let me speak for what I'm doing.
I would say that I'm more likely to be unbiased than a player is about himself. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But-
you're not getting the true. Now, people don't want the true story anymore when it comes to sports or anything else.
No.
That's why everybody goes in their silos for politics. They don't want to know the truth.
No.
They just want to be pampered to and catered to
And so they want to have
in every aspect of life, and that's bad for society, but it is what it is.
They want to have a conversation with their boy.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm having a conversation with
But I have never.
Not everyone has a podcast, but they have
Yeah.
their own Twitter feed. They go live on Instagram. Like
Sure,
everyone has
but
a way to get their
it's
own
not like
voice and
the
opinion out.
mainstream media, or whatever, doesn't exist or has gone away or is not important. It's important.
some would argue.
Yeah.
I just watched I just watched Skip Bayless become irrelevant.
Well, that's what Dan Lebitard said, but does he think he's irrelevant?
To a certain extent, yeah.
I mean, if he was irrelevant, he wouldn't be making the money he's making.
But once again, we talked about it with players. Irrelevant. Just because you make a certain money, that don't mean to match your production.
Well, irrelevant and good is two different things.
Remember, I said, can you be good and,
Yeah.
and still be an underperformer, right? Or
Right.
like, or not meet. So what I'm
But
saying.
what were you getting at? Eh?
What I was
Yeah.
getting at is
I mean, we're mainstream media, aren't we?
no.
Oh, we're not?
I don't think so.
I'm no longer part of mainstream media?
No,
I love
you
it.
haven't been with it for a long time. You can't tell somebody to go F themselves on regular mainstream.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not mainstream media.
You're
I love
not
it.
man. So a lot of players is like I see Maurice Claret. He was on with Cameron and Mace. But this dude, Maurice Claret was going off.
On Saban.
Yeah,
He was
going-
tweeting about it. I retweeted.
He was
it.
going
going
off.
on, yeah.
He's 100% right.
I say, dang, he could say that. And then I realized he's on with a rapper
Yeah.
and another rapper and former drug dealers. So you can say that.
There's a million different platforms to get your point across
Right.
or your story
This
across.
started
So-
with me bringing up Quincy Avery, who I admit I don't like because of what he said. Because he was really nasty to
Because
me.
because here's the thing, he's
Yeah.
not speaking as a media person. Like he's speaking as like I'm a quarterback coach. They gonna come to me as a quarterback coach regardless, and I'm gonna just say whatever I feel.
And he's speaking as Deshaun's boy.
and he's speaking
Right.
as Deshaun's
but
dude.
why it was an unprovoked attack of Aditi for no reason. She didn't even say anything. It wasn't even like she said anything about Deshaun Watson. In fact, what has she said bad about Deshaun Watson? Aditi doesn't say controversial stuff. Aditi's not like me coming on here, and if I think somebody sucks, I'll say it. She doesn't do that.
Well,
to attack her, it was just out of line.
Here's
And he was really nasty about it.
I mean, well, I don't know what he said, but here's
Yeah.
I'm just giving you the.
But he doesn't care.
Yeah, he don't care about none of that. They don't care
Yeah.
about that.
When players say they don't care, they do, though. They care what people say.
Well, that's
He's a
why
human.
he's
Yeah.
on the show.
Right.
He's the deflection. Deshaun can't say that, but Quincy can.
Yeah. But I just didn't understand why he attacked her. There's plenty of people in the media that I would get why he would attack them, but her, it didn't make any sense. But anyway,
Yeah.
He's
we'll
throwing.
keep it moving from that.
to the fact that Sean's throwing,
Yeah.
the question was, what do you want to see from him throwing, I guess, in this rehab session?
Yeah.
I got so enamored with Elijah Moore videos at training camp last year. And I
don't
got
wanna see
so infatuated with Deshaun throwing deep balls to Marquise Goodwin. And I got so involved and invested. Hey, Deshaun looks back, man. I hear Tyvis tell these stories. I don't think there's any preseason video I can see from
Zero.
Deshaun that's going to make me feel any different until I see it on Sunday, week 1, in Brazil or in Pittsburgh or wherever they play.
100% agree.
That's going to change my opinion.
100%
And it's
agree.
not. It's nothing against Deshaun. It's just you could look great in shorts and a t-shirt, and then come
Even if
Sunday,
he plays in the preseason, it's going to
I
not
got to
matter.
see it in a real game.
There's
I gotta see it
nothing
in a
that
real game.
Deshaun could do. I agree. Now, you want him to look healthy.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't look healthy, well, then none of it matters. But assuming he's healthy, that's fine. But that's not going to make me feel better about his season.
Yeah, my
Until
opinion's
we
not going to
see-
change on any
Right.
one throw. And look at pro days. I saw you tweet about pro days this
Exactly.
morning.
Totally.
Zach Wilson, that crossbody, 65-yard.
Meaningless. None
The
of it
Jets
matters.
drafted him off that throw. It clearly did not translate
That's
to his
right.
actual playing
Beyond
career. So,
stupid that any fan would pay attention to a pro day. It's
Yeah.
the only thing meaningful in the pro day is the conversations that the players are having with the members of the team. And we don't know about that stuff.
Yeah.
That's meaningful. Watching what we see on TV, them throwing and
It's
running
choreographed.
is nothing. It means nothing.
Do you agree, G?
I go back to the 80s and you talk to Bernie, like, before the NFL machine got up and running, nobody was like saying what Bernie is doing in OTAs. Like,
Right. Yeah, no.
it didn't exist.
Yeah,
like, so like you just, all right, season's over. They start talking about it around 2 days and then season starts. Now we got this 24-hour news cycle where like, yeah, Deshaun's throwing. And it's like, but we're not going to see him throw. But we don't. know what's involved in that. So why would I get excited about that? Like, that's not it. Like, so for me, when they was like, oh, he's throwing in March, he's ahead of schedule, and it's just like, okay, this is regular season workouts, bro. That's cool for YouTube. Like, if he wanted that, once again, I don't hate to go back to this, but if he wanted to put it, like, come
On
up with his own production.
Hey, we'd watch it and we'd analyze every throw the next day on CSS.
Well, you're going to have, you're going to have Nick Carnes tweeting out the video saying, look, that's my quarterback.
Or he
We love Nick. Come on.
He should do a reality. If he did a reality show around it, like, hey,
Nick Carnes?
No.
Oh, Deshaun. Oh, I was saying, listen, we love Nick, but that might be pushing a little too far.
He ain't got that juice. But no, if he does a reality show around it, he shows what he's doing, rehab, go to the doctor. Look, gather the guys. I got David Njoku coming in, show you going out to eat with the guys. Camaraderie. Miles Garrett did something last year like that, showing how he gets his body ready in the offseason.
Well, we saw some of the Browns players in Africa
Yeah.
hanging together.
Jarvis Landry did that in a documentary a couple years ago. If he did that,
Yeah.
Now we analyze that, right? And I think
Because we need something to analyze in the middle of nothing.
That is good content, like, because we can break that down and say, hey, I like what he said to that player, or I like what this player said about. But other than that, if we don't get that, I'm not looking at
it reminds me of Hard Knocks.
Right.
Where Hard Knocks, and you can selectively edit anything you want.
Yeah.
And they have these guys every year on Hard Knocks who you become a fan of, like Kajust, or there's a different guy every season who
It's
you
a
like.
random white dude on the
A
back
lot of
end of the
times,
roster.
yeah.
That's what it usually
And
is.
you're like, they make him look really good.
Yeah.
And all his throws or all his catches, it's like,
Well-
ooh, that's. And then he actually comes to cut time,
he's-
and it's like he's cut. You never hear from him.
And the
again.
guy, what you're talking about though is, as fans, you like when you feel like the players like each other, that they're friends.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good.
Or
if you think like Deshaun and David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy are all friends, they like each other, it makes you feel warm inside.
Or he's like, I gathered the guys up and we did some community service over.
Yeah, you like that.
They can do things to like really like make him look very polished and good. I just don't know if he's at that point of his career where you care.
Right, but
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It comes a time where that kind of stuff, your image does matter.
Right, but in the end, as you said originally, Mike, there is zero in my mind that Deshaun Watson could do between today and the first regular season game that is going to change your opinion on how he's going to perform this year.
Do you agree with that, G? Outside of a preseason game, which you said.
I'm even saying including preseason.
I've seen.
Well, you said you don't want him to play in the preseason.
I did, but if here's the thing:
if he has 5 good throws in a preseason game, I don't care.
If they leave him in a half and he plays and he sprinkles the football around, and Nick Chubb plays, well, Nick Chubb probably won't play.
He's not playing.
But if he sprinkled the ball around to these guys, Jerry Jeudy get involved, and he looked good. Heck yeah, to change. I remember when the last time we saw Deshaun Watson, everybody in Cleveland loved Deshaun Watson when he beat the Ravens. But guess what? When he got hurt and he was out of sight, out of mind, switch like that.
I know for me, there's nothing Deshaun Watson could do. Like, I am where I am on Deshaun. I still think there's a chance he could be good again. I think he's got to prove it. He hasn't been good these 2 years. I'm not going to believe my percentage chance of him being good again is not going up a single point until I see him play in the regular season. For me.
I can't. This always gets me. I don't understand. I don't get it. He's played 11 games.
Yeah.
I've never seen people make their mind up in that small of a sample size in my life.
I'm not making my mind up. I'm not saying it's over.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm saying for 2 years with 11 games, he has not performed.
11 games is like, and then like, look.
But injuries is part of the thing.
I mean,
it's been 3 years. If we're being honest, it's been 3 years.
He hasn't played at a high level since 2020.
So he sat out a year, right?
His choice.
Yeah, his choice.
Yep.
I can't. If I'm gonna knock Michael Jordan for sitting out, I gotta knock. He sat out. That was his choice.
Yeah.
Got hurt. He got suspended for 11 games. Yeah. I don't think he should have been suspended 11 games.
But he would have still been suspended for at least 6.
Okay, well, that's at least 5 more games he could have got on track.
Potentially.
And then he played, 5-6 games this year? And was hurt the rest of the year.
In the end, G, I'm not – if I said now he's done. He's never going to be good again.
No.
That might be unfair.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm judging him on what I've seen for 2 years.
I'm not
and
saying
for what
you
I've
saying
seen
that.
for 2 years, been a huge disappointment.
But I'm not saying for you. I'm saying there's people.
There are people who are
There are
totally
people
fan
that
base
went
that
on,
are like he's never going to
They're
be good.
totally done, and they might be right. I'm not one of those people. But when they traded for him, as we played yesterday, we played the tape of when I was on the air.
I did watch that.
And I went bananas because I was excited, and I'm like, "That's it, quarterback problem solved." Right now, I don't feel that way. I'm not saying it's not solved. I'm saying I don't know if it's solved, and I thought that was over. I thought the conversation about the Browns solving their quarterback problem was
For a
over.
decade
and
was
now
done.
I'm not sure. And
Fair enough. Not sure. It's okay to not be sure.
yeah, that's it. I'm
That
not saying yes or no. I'm saying I'm in
think
the middle now.
I think if you're 100% confident, it's a little bit of blind optimism.
Yeah.
If you're 100% out, you're throwing in the towel way too early. I think
Yes.
the realistic answer is you could feel good and not be 100%. You could be in Bull's camp, which is I'm not sure.
I'm like 50-50. I think there's a 50.
And I think that's a fair
and maybe
place to
the
be right now.
reality is he's never going to be what he was in Houston, but he's going to end up being just a pretty good quarterback, which is fine, but not what you paid for. And that it doesn't have to be he's going to be Houston Deshaun or he's going to be a piece of crap. It doesn't.
There's a
lot of
giant
space
variance in
between.
between Houston Deshaun and nothing. So
It's the big question mark, right? We always got one, right? We'll see what's going. Because at the end of the day, that's we could say that every day. That's just there's a question mark.
every topic we do could end with, well, if Deshaun is Deshaun,
That's
then
it.
it's good. If he's not, then
And
it's
we're
a
not
bad
going to know
situation.
anything more for 6 months.
September 10th.
Right? A little less than 6 months till the first game.
In Brazil,
Well,
So
we don't know that.
We don't know. We're going to do something. We're going to play off that tomorrow, by the way.
But
We don't know for sure.
Because Maurice Hurst just thought that Peter King was saying it for
Yes.
sure. That's what happened.
Yes.
So people thought Maurice Hurst broke the news that they're definitely playing in I was about to say Japan, but it's Brazil.
I would like to play in Japan too.
And he was just going by what Peter King said. Peter King was speculating that it could be the Browns, but he doesn't know for sure, or at least he didn't say he knew for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he does know.
I don't want to break into your topics. I'm not on the panel tomorrow. Go ahead, Go ahead.
Well, what else? What else? Do you want
I-
the Browns to play in Brazil?
Well, we've already talked about. Do you want to play? I got another secondary.
Do you care one way or the other?
Listen, I'm all for the prime time. I'm G. Bush, bro. I'm shiny.
Also,
I like that.
the underrated reason why we should all be rooting for this. They play on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Sunday to watch football and not worry about what happens with the Browns. You got the whole day to watch the primetime games in week one,
or if
which
they
you know are
look,
going to be star-studded
or they get
matchups.
smoked, you're gonna be mad all weekend.
Yep.
Then you got college football to forget
They're
about.
playing. Oh, they'd be playing Philly there, right?
Philly, yeah.
Dang, their schedule's tough. I'll take it in Brazil though.
I want it. I'm on the record. I want them to start the season in Brazil.
I know Jay. Jay wants them to play the worst team possible in week one.
Yeah, he likes
an
he likes
easy
his
start.
money in his bank.
Although the Browns are not playing a lot of bad teams.
Ain't no easy.
It's
Who's
a
the
gut-
worst teams on their schedule this year?
It's a gauntlet. The Chargers could potentially be
I mean,
bad. The Raiders,
Chargers probably won't be bad.
with Gardner Minshew
They
as
got
the
the
quarterback.
Chiefs back on there. But here's the thing.
Probably the Raiders.
Oh, the Giants and the Redskins, Commanders.
Hey,
Yeah, the Giants suck.
what better way to put up a huge middle finger if you're Deshaun Watson if you go play the Eagles and you smoke
And
them in
that's
another
what I'm
country?
saying. Like the
If
potential.
you smoke them in another country,
Yeah.
and then they got to talk about you the rest of the weekend, oh my gosh, did you see what the Browns did to the Eagles?
Here we
Looks
go.
like Deshaun's back.
Here's the Browns' 11 games outside of the division. At home, outside of the division, Chargers,
Win.
Chiefs,
Win.
Cowboys,
Win.
Giants, Dolphins.
win.
So they have 5 other home games. There are 6 road
Five,
games.
5 wins, by the way.
Five
wins.
dogs.
6 road games out of the division. The
US
Commanders, they suck.
Win.
Broncos,
Win.
Blowout.
Eagles,
Win.
Yep.
Jags,
Win.
Raiders,
Win.
and Saints.
Check.
Win.
Look,
Gee, you got them going 17-0 too.
like, yo, it's kind of crazy. That's 11 right there.
Plus, you're going at least 6-0 in the division.
Man, come on,
17-0.
How many teams?
Who says no?
How many games do the Browns have where they're playing a team that you think is more likely than not to finish under 500? Do you think the Chargers are more likely to finish over or under 500?
I think Harbaugh will have a rough year.
Yeah, I think their roster's terrible.
He just set himself up for tearing everything down.
I mean, they have
Yeah.
no wide receivers.
that roster's really bad. I'll go under.
Joey Bosa's hurt by third week.
I think they'll be under, but not
Close.
terrible.
It was 7 and
They'll-
10.
it would-
7
you
and
know.
10.
Chiefs will be over. Cowboys will be over. Giants are under.
Yep.
Dolphins over.
I think
They're
the
right
Dolphins
around.
is they 8 and 9.
Yeah,
9
right
and
in
8.
that range.
If I had to bet, If you had to bet your house, they win 9 or more, 8 or less. I'm betting 9 or more.
I bet
I go
less.
8 or
They
under.
lost one of their best linemen. They lost
Their
their
defense
best
got
defensive
gutted.
I
line.
think you guys are out.
Good.
Linebacker.
All right, Broncos under.
Yep.
Commanders under.
Yep.
Eagles over.
Yep.
Jaguars over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Raiders under.
Yeah.
Saints. Who's the
Under.
quarterback?
Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
But that division's not very good. They're right around 500.
They're 500.
They're a middling team.
They play the Saints next year too.
Yep. That's the extra game.
Oh, the extra game.
17th game. So their home schedule in particular is tough. I mean, the only bad team they're playing at home is the Giants. That's it. That's the only bad team.
Browns.
And maybe the Chargers.
And I'm going to be screaming this starting now.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Browns listen to your boy, Operation Stockpile. They even went and stockpiled me some coaches. So shout out to you guys for listening to, the Duke and Knee Jerk. But I'm telling you this: Browns got to have one playoff game at home. Got to.
Well, to do that, you got to win the division.
Got to.
You got to win the hardest division in the entire league.
They got to
by
get
far.
it.
What is there? What's the closest? What's the second best division in football? Are there any other divisions with 3 good teams? Or let's see. AFC East,
NFC West.
East, yeah. The East could have 4 good teams depending on. Oh, no, the Patriots.
Patriots?
Sorry, Patriots are terrible. Never
Yeah.
mind. Never
NFC
mind.
West.
NFC
Seahawks,
West. Seahawks are
49ers.
decent. Niners are good.
Cardinals could be
Rams are
4 seed.
good.
Rams. That's
Yeah.
I
it.
don't think the Cardinals are any good.
Rams, Seahawks.
That might be the
Niners.
second best
That could be the
division.
second best.
But the AFC North is
By
It's,
far.
it's
way
definitive,
better
definitive the best.
than any other division.
Definitively.
It's the only division where you can argue for every team winning the division.
Yeah.
And winning it not in a South situation where it's all the teams suck, so anybody
No.
can win it. It's because all the teams are good.
Yeah.
I guarantee the AFC North will have the most primetime games.
Oh,
Because the
without a
Chiefs.
doubt.
And
there's-
Harbaugh's going to get all
and plus there's good rivalries. In the
I mean,
North.
there's really it's
teams don't like each other.
It's good storylines. There's very good storylines in the AFC North, and you get Patrick Mahomes playing against the AFC North this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's another boatload of games that probably will be on.
The Chiefs have brought primetime 11 times, essentially. They're going to play more primetime games than non-primetime.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
I can't wait for them to fall off, but you can't pray for that.
They're not going to fall off until Patrick Mahomes gets hurt or retires. So that's about it.
It's depressing.
I mean,
Their team was not good last year.
It was
not good
They
last
were
year.
not good.
Stop it with this not good.
They weren't
They
that good
weren't,
last
bro.
year.
We had them.
Top to bottom, the roster was
they
not
had them
great.
between the crosshairs, bull. They was not playing good football.
I mean, I don't even know what to say to Mike right now. To say they're not good.
Well, I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but
You're
that is not a
way out of pocket.
That is not a championship
That's
roster.
an absurd comment.
But they were not a championship roster.
Yes, they were.
They weren't.
They just didn't have great receivers. Where else were they terrible?
Okay, you want to go through this?
Yeah.
The offensive line wasn't great.
Offensive line was okay.
First of all, not everything has to be great.
Their
offensive line was
tackles
good.
were average. Tackles were
Mike,
average.
Their offensive line was perfectly fine.
Tackles
You don't
were
have
average.
to be great.
Okay, so
Their
receivers
quarterback's
not
the
good.
best in the league.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, because they have
Their
Mahomes. He
defense
elevated
was really
everything
good
else.
across the board.
I didn't say it's bad defense. I said top to bottom was a roster. It's not a great roster.
It is a great roster. What are you talking about?
It's not.
It was one.
They have one elite guy who's so much better than everyone else.
That's not
Even
true.
Kelce was not the same player he was
this
2
is
years
the-
ago.
this is-
Travis Kelce is still elite. Stop
He's
saying
very
that.
good, but he's
No,
not. He's not like his peak Travis Kelce.
Which was it? Didn't he lead the league in receiving yards for tight ends?
Yeah, but that's like what 972 or whatever it was.
What are you talking about?
He had
You're out of
he had his worst season in like 4 years
But
last year.
he's still elite. You're crazy.
Do you think that was a championship caliber roster? If you put any other quarterback in the Chiefs, they win a Super Bowl last year.
No.
So it's not a Super Bowl
That's
roster.
a ridiculous comment.
Bull, take Mahomes off that roster. Put any other
You
quarterback in football in there. Well, take that. Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl with that roster.
First of all,
Does Brock Purdy win the Super Bowl with that roster?
probably not. But
The
Brock
answer's
Purdy
no.
didn't win the Super Bowl with his roster, which is better.
That's my point.
But to say it's
That's
not
my point. Mahomes elevated everyone else to get to that level.
Where was outside of maybe wide receiver? What position group was not good for them?
What do you think? Pacheco's a top 10 running back? So the middle pack in running back, bottom of the pack in receivers.
That's not a weak spot. Pacheco is a good player.
I'm not saying they suck.
I
I'm not
think-
saying they.
You're
I think
talking
he's-
about them like their roster sucked. That's
I'm saying it's not a
ridiculous.
championship
for-
level
Yeah,
roster.
of course it is.
For the Chiefs, this wasn't one of their.
They didn't play as well last year. To say they weren't good is stupid.
I never said they sucked.
You said they weren't good. They weren't
I said
a
it's
good
not
team.
a championship level roster.
Of course it is. They won.
Because of Patrick Mahomes.
No, but so what? He's part of the roster. What are you talking about? And Mike, they had one of the best defenses in the league. Yes or no?
One of the best defenses,
okay,
yes.
Their defense was championship level, was it not? Was their defense
was championship level,
The only thing that wasn't championship level was their wide receiver core. That's it.
Take out quarterback, which obviously is the most important position.
Take out quarterback. What are you talking about?
Take out quarterback. Where does the other 52-player Chiefs roster rank among the top?
I don't know. Somewhere between 5 and 8.
I think what he's saying is, if you look at their roster, this wasn't the most talented Chiefs roster that they had during their run.
I would say it was the most talented defensive roster that they've had.
Yes.
Travis Kelce, which is important, it's whole half of the game.
Yeah,
Travis Kelce is still, even though he was not as good in the past, by the end of the year he was back to his elite form, and in the playoffs he was elite. And you'd still take Travis. And last year I said that at one point I might be moving towards Njoku over Kelce. That was dumb. I was an idiot for saying that. Travis Kelce was still the best tight end in football last year.
Yes.
And Pacheco is a really good back.
Think about how unstoppable they were with Tyreek Hill. I mean,
they have won 2 Super Bowls since he
get
left.
What
are you talking about?
If they had him, they would win more Super Bowls.
They can't win more.
They can't win more.
They've won every one without him.
But they would have won by more. They would have gone.
They'd be more dominant. They'd be more over more.
You're out of your mind.
My point of that is,
where do you think their roster is minus quarterback? 13th, 20th? Are you crazy?
No, it's probably like 8, 9, 10.
First of all, you said they were not good.
I never said they were not good.
If you think they have the 8th best roster
I didn't say they were,
and the best quarterback, how are they not good?
I said not a championship roster.
Did they have a championship defense?
Yeah, they had championship
Do they have
defense.
a championship quarterback?
Well, yes, Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the history of football.
Do you need a great running back to win a Super Bowl?
No, we've proven that.
So then what else what else?
I'm saying when you take Patrick Mahomes out of the equation, which I know you're going to say you can't do, but you're looking at a full roster. It's not one player. Yeah. Mahomes raises the tide of everybody else.
Of course.
He makes everybody else better than they actually are. So the roster itself may not be that good because Patrick Mahomes is
because their defense was still excellent.
Would you say
acknowledging that?
Would you say that LeBron James? What was the year they made the first NBA Finals?
07.
07. Yeah. Is that a championship roster, or did LeBron carry them single-handedly to the championship?
But Patrick Mahomes didn't do that.
Yes, he did.
What are you talking about?
Mahomes.
Their defense was great.
Well, we're not going to see eye to eye on this.
You're out of your mind. You're admitting that their defense. How many teams have a better defense than the Chiefs? 3 or 4?
Yeah, they're top 5-ish.
The Ravens.
The Browns? I saw the Browns get smoked by C.J. Stroud. How'd C.J. Stroud do against...
he didn't play the Chiefs.
Oh, that's right. He lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, so get your facts straight. Come on.
The Chiefs didn't win the Super Bowl just because of Patrick Mahomes.
I didn't say it was just because of him.
Their defense played excellent. You're way out of line here. You're way out of line.
Mahomes is the reason they've won back-to-back Super Bowls.
Yeah, I think you oversell
Mahomes is the number one reason.
Their defense was good. It wasn't historically all-time elite.
Who said it was historically all-time elite?
You're making it seem...
No, I'm not.
We can yell at this for 45 minutes if we want.
Listen, you're wrong.
No.
They have...
And put in a poll. Did the Chiefs have a Super Bowl roster this year?
Of course they did. They won the Super Bowl.
A championship-level roster.
Okay, but are they a Super Bowl roster every year just with Patrick Mahomes?
Yes.
By default?
Yes. Well, no.
Yeah.
No. But they were last year.
I think so.
If you win a Super Bowl, then you're a championship roster.
If you got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes by default, you're a Super Bowl caliber.
Everybody has 1 point left.
If the rest of the team was suck, you said they weren't good. Then you said they were the 8th best roster besides quarterback.
I never said that. I said it wasn't championship level. I never said they weren't good.
First you go play the tape. You said they were not good last year.
Did I say they weren't good?
That's why I got worked up, because the first thing you said was they were not good. Which was absurd.
It was a solid roster with an elite quarterback head coach combo that led them to a Super Bowl.
It's a good roster with an elite coaching quarterback.
Semantics, my man.
You said they were not good.
I didn't say they're not good.
You said that.
If I said they were not good, that was maybe a little exaggeration. But it was not a championship caliber roster outside of Patrick Mahomes. I stand by that.
And you have not given me a position besides wide receiver where they're not championship caliber.
I don't think their running game was terrific.
Their running game was.
What
are you talking about?
They were the most penalized offensive tackle tandem in the entire NFL.
Okay.
Their defense was good, not great. It was very good, not great.
How many defenses are better, you think?
Cleveland's defense was better. Baltimore's defense was better. Yes.
Okay. During the regular season, it was better.
We saw one game in the playoffs.
And they got smoked.
They also gave up 14 points via pick sixes.
You're out of your mind.
You're wrong here.
No,